to get my name out there. I just really want to know, like, I just want to let people know, like, who Tommy is. Like, I'm more than just like an Asian kid that loves math. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. On like the topic of purpose, I know there's a lot of like different opinions around this, but do you think you find your purpose or do you think you have to create it?
Have you heard of Gymshark?
Yes.
Yes. So they had this, and I was a huge fan. So they had this thing where it was like this like 60 day, like 66 day challenge thing where like you work out every day and then you're trying to like build a habit. So throughout that time, and it was crazy too. My teacher asked me like, "So wait, what exactly is your purpose? Like, what are you really trying to do with like this fitness stuff?" And I
Right.
had no idea how to answer that. So as the challenge kept carrying on, I realized that I wanted to do a fundraiser. I want to do a fundraiser, and so I bear crawled half a marathon to
Oh my
raise money
God.
for.
Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marian Lusosa, and if you're new here, I am on a mission to help this generation change their life by creating their own purpose, financial independence, and lifestyle freedom. So today I have a very special guest. Why does my face look so bright? Very special guest with us. His name is Tommy Lee, and I actually reached out to him quite randomly. And forgive my voice and my face, I just got my wisdom teeth out yesterday, and it hurts, and I'm puffy, and whatever. But his name is Tommy Lee, and I reached out to this guy kind of randomly. But what really caught my eye about his profile is that he completely transformed his life during COVID. He like went all in. He started doing calisthenics. He was very consistent, placing a 30-minute timer on his computer every day until he essentially changed his relationship with himself and his fitness. And this is actually one of my favorite interviews because, as y'all know, I've brought on like multimillionaires. I mean, Chris Gavellini is one, Matt Boudreau changing the world with his program Apogee, Alex Payne, Christy Colleen, and so many others. And I am going to bring out a lot of other guests in the future. But I thought that if I brought someone that you could relate to a little more, who is also in the same journey as all of us, because if you're looking to become a better version of yourself, essentially, we're all on our own little unique journey. And we touch on topics from insecurities and using your traumas that happened to you, for you, and using it to change your life, changing your identity, changing your relationship with yourself, and how fitness plays a role in all of that, and so much more. So I really hope you find this interview valuable. And if you do, don't forget to like and subscribe this video, and I'm going to let you go on and decide for yourself.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on here again, Tommy.
Thank you
So
for having
I
me.
I saw that pinned reel that you had about your story and how you started calisthenics 5 years ago and
Right.
how you were consistent with it, putting a 30-minute timer every day. And I'm curious, like, what made you start during lockdown?
I guess so. During that time when I started, it was I was a senior in high school. I was a
Okay.
senior in high school, so and obviously around like that time during lockdown, I mean, and you're like I'm like constantly playing video games and stuff like that. So and I guess right around that time is kind of like the perfect time to like build up a good habit for yourself. So
Yeah.
that's when I kind of like started to like pick up like, okay, I guess let's start leaning towards more fitness and kind of like eliminating some of the bad habits that I was on. And
Yeah.
then eventually kind of like fitness just kind of came. Like
Okay.
got inspired by like other fitness people and then from there I just started working out from home.
Okay. That's pretty awesome. And so what made you stay consistent, especially during lockdown? Because I feel like that's when everybody kind of shut down, like physically, mentally, quite literally.
Right. So I guess the mentality I was at during that time was I wanted to stand out. So I guess the motivation was like throughout high school, I was only known as, to me personally, I feel like I was only known as like this Asian kid that was like really just academic wise smart,
Yeah.
even though like I played sports my whole life. But I guess like I was very like scared and shy to put myself out there. So I was kind of like very in my bubble a little bit. And I guess like when COVID happened, that was like my driven motivation was like, okay, you know what, you don't have a six pack. Let's really get it and like find a way to stand out and like get my name out there more. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why I kind of like was driven during that time. And plus I know that during COVID too, everybody's like very like uninspired.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of like rude to say, but I feel like a lot of people during that time was very uninspired. So like I was kind of like watching like everyone and like during my class, like in my class was like their little habits and stuff and
Yeah.
finding ways to like better myself for it. I know it sounds kind of like such an asshole move, but
But I mean, it's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So I feel like a lot of people have that thing where they want to be different, they want to stand out, and they have like a little bit of motivation, but it doesn't last long. So how did you manage to keep it up?
I, that's a great, I just kept moving. Like honestly, I just kept moving. It was just so enjoyable for me to I guess like each day it was like looking in the mirror and like I'm seeing like a little bit of progress each and every day. But
Yeah.
also in the back of my head, even though like there was a time period where like when I was doing for like a month, 2 months, and I try to stay consistent with eating, I didn't really see much change, but it's just the back of my head of like having that like, okay, if I showed up the next day, maybe my body will change a little bit. So it's just that constant mentality of like, okay, let me chase after every single day and see where it takes me.
Okay.
You know what I
Um,
mean?
yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think a lot of people are always focused on like how do I do this and how do I stay consistent and how do I start? But I think the how is so simple. It's so easy because like
Yeah.
everybody already knows what to do. I think
Yeah.
it's
Everybody knows
the
what to do.
why.
It's the why. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm curious, did you rely more on like that consistency and motivation or the discipline?
The discipline.
How did that come about?
I realized a lot, and I think a lot of that comes from that driven drive of like really wanting to like get myself out there, but also the motivation too was like I wanted to like create content stuff like that as well. So that kind of kept me going as well throughout that time. But I don't know. I guess it just it's really just discipline. I was just kind of like I was just super driven to like really get myself out there.
Okay, okay. And if somebody was just like they had that drive, they had the why down, and they were like, okay, I'm ready to start. What would be your like main pointers or the things that you learned to just like stay disciplined?
I feel the first thing I think the first thing is really finding your purpose.
Okay.
Because a lot of like I know a lot of people that I've like came across, like some friends that I met in high school, they're always constantly asking me like, um, like I want to look shredded, I want to look this, I want to look a certain way. But I feel like that doesn't really like it can only take you so far. Because
Mhm.
it's gonna get to a certain point in everyone's life where like we're not gonna look as great as we want to be. So I feel like having that like a different motivation outside of just like, oh, I want to look good, I think can take you so much further. And I think for me it was more like my drive was kind of like I just wanted to just I just want to get my name out there. I just really want to know like I just want to let people know like who Tommie is. Like I'm more than just like an Asian kid that loves math. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That's literally like why that's why like I was so driven to like really kept going.
Okay, okay. And on like the topic of purpose, I know there's a lot of like different opinions around this, but do you think you find your purpose or do you think you have to create it?
It it's kind of like in between.
How do
That's
you?
what I think. I feel like it's kind of in between. It's like um so okay, so let's say for so when I didn't so I started calisthenics obviously like the basics during that time.
Mhm.
But during that time I'm pretty sure have you heard of Gymshark?
Yes.
Yes. So they had this and I was a huge fan. So they had this thing where it was like this like 60-day, like 66-day challenge thing where like you work out every day and then you're trying to like build a habit. So throughout that time, and it was crazy too, my teacher asked me like, so wait, what exactly is your purpose? Like what are you really trying to do with like this fitness stuff? And I
Yeah.
had no idea how to answer that because and that kind of like correlates back to the question you're asking me. So it was like 66 Day. They had like different themes of like, okay, here's Earth Day, do something for the world. So as the challenge kept carrying on, I realized that I wanted to do a fundraiser. I want to do a fundraiser, and so I bear crawled half a marathon to
Oh
raise
my
money
God.
for. Yeah, so I raised half. So I bear crawled half a marathon to raise money for a nonprofit organization, and that's why I was out in LA, literally this like last week.
Yeah.
So I think so. Even with that, I think to find your purpose, it is true. You have to kind of like figure out like I guess create in a way. And I guess throughout that time, I found my purpose, and my purpose was I love fitness, but I didn't realize I also like I love helping people too. It bring like this such a fulfillment in me that I never knew I had until I bear call half marathon and raise money for the nonprofit organization.
Wow, that's huge. God.
Yes. So I hope I answered your question on that.
Yeah,
It was a great.
I think it made sense, and I know like there's no perfect answer for anyone, and everybody has like their own beliefs, but I think it kind of made sense.
Okay.
Yeah. And in terms of like fitness, do you think that's essential for everybody to tap into?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, why?
It's so good for your mental health. It's
Okay.
so good for your mental health. I feel like the answer could go way much longer than just like, oh, it's great for your mental health. But
Yeah.
I think that's like the only answer with fitness. Personally, well, for me, I just find it to like really help with my mental health when like things are going wrong. Like so for me, I don't do any drugs. I don't do any of that. And I think the reason why is because of fitness has helped me so much throughout that. So like I just because fitness, the whole fitness behind is like, oh, staying healthy, fine, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like when I started, I made sure I like eliminate every single thing that's like not great for my body. And I think even for I mean, there's people I know too where like they love fitness, but they also enjoy stuff in moderation.
Yeah.
But everybody's story is like, oh, I went through breakups and fitness helped me, or like, a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think personally for me, it has extremely helped me with my mental health and like all the problems and stuff. Something about the gym is just kind of like it gives you all the answers you need. It's just so like peaceful, kind of sit down with yourself, which a lot of people don't really sit down with themselves to think about what's really going on. And they kind
That's
of let the outside noises come in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I feel like a lot of people, especially those who haven't tapped into it yet, think that it's like for the body, it's for the health. But I think like yeah, mainly it's for your mind. And then like the rest is just like a byproduct of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so to people who haven't started and think it's like, it's overrated or they just can't get themselves to start, they don't see the hype in it or whatever, what pointers or what little push would you give them?
That's okay. I would like to use this example, but if it's gonna go like on thing, I don't want to like call anyone out. So I was kind of like, so I had a friend.
Okay.
I had a friend. So not to say that he was like uninspired. It's just something about the gym never really truly like spoke out to him. So, and for the longest time, I feel like I was giving him pointers on like the benefits of what this gonna do. But
Yeah.
I feel like for every individual, you can't. I found to myself, I can't really like tell them what to do. I can
Mm,
try to encourage them, but it always gets to a point where it's like, you know, depending who your friend group is, it's
yeah.
either you lead them by example or you kind of let them, go through that life of path on their own to see where that like fits in their life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like so that's why even like anyone that like I've never really given them key pointers on what's like, oh hey, you should go to the gym because it helped me this and that. I feel like everyone has their own preference on the fitness gym and like what's gonna help them. And the
Yeah.
only thing I can do like is really just lead by example and eventually they just kind of come to me or they go through their own life and was like, okay, I realized that fitness really helped me. So
Mm-hmm.
the truth, I don't really have key pointers on like on trying to like really get people in the gym
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like there's so many ways that like I find that like people don't really go to the gym but they love journaling or like they just love going to church or like they love going on like walks,
Right.
stuff like that. So I guess there's like many different ways. fitness or anything that can help your mental health kind of like fits in everyone's lifestyle so differently.
Okay. Okay. So as a little like side question here, do you think like everybody has like not everybody's meant for one specific thing to help their body? There's like different ways to go about it, whether it's like walks or yoga or like you said, journaling or the gym.
Oh, 100%, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. And then when you started, how did going back to what you said about like being connected to yourself and taking time away from all the noise, how did you find like transforming your body helped your relationship with yourself?
How did I change as a person?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I'll probably break down some of the flaws or like the bad habits I was going through, and then I
Okay.
can kind of like lead into like how like that has changed me.
Okay.
Okay, so before obviously never knew what fitness was. Well, I'm pretty sure everything kind of relates back to fitness for me in a sense, but before all that, I didn't do any sports throughout high school. So I did, but I kind of like with like I'm a really good person. That's why I'm like trying to think so deep because I'm trying to reserve some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Because because so many people go through like trauma stuff, but I kind of feel like I'm hiding that part of me in a little bit. So I kind of want I'm forget I'm just gonna throw it all out. So once I got to high school, my dad left. So my dad left. So my dad left me before I got to high school, and even throughout that time, I was just very like caught up in this like bubble of like I was just very quiet, and it's so hard to kind of go back in time to kind of like really see who I was during that time. But I know I was just very insecure. Like I had so much acne. So, and then even throughout that time, it was just kind of like I played basketball and stuff like that. I love basketball, but when you kind of like under all that troubles from home and you kind of really know what's going on anymore besides that, like all
Yeah.
the troubles just kind of like hit you. You're kind of like, okay, like I know basketball is the only thing during that time, basketball is the only thing that I knew. So, and the reason it kind of like, that's where I didn't know myself anymore because basketball kind of became basketball or fitness or whatnot. It kind of became like I like to refer to as like a drug because it's like you know it's not good for you, but you're constantly doing it because you're trying to avoid whatever is that's like going on in the outside world.
Right. Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So that happened for like throughout my whole entire high school. And like I didn't really know because you're hanging out, you're in high school. These are like a huge group of new people that you have no idea. So you're kind of like, okay, he looks cool. Let me throw myself into there. Let me like hang out with this group. And then you're kind of like slowly turning into someone that like you're really not, but you're just still trying to fit in because you just want to make friends.
Yeah.
So, and that's when COVID happened. And that's where like sitting alone was never something I've ever done. And I sold my PS4, sold everything, and I'm
Really?
like, just yeah, sold everything. I sold everything. I bought simply just books. I like spent all that. I like, well, sold my PS4, took that money, and I bought like just very like self-help books. And I sat in my room for like until I went to college, like until like college school starts up. I sat in
Yeah.
my room, and that's all I did was just like just sat alone and just thought to myself like, who am I really am? And then fitness started coming in. And then over time, I started realizing I'm like, okay, the group of friends I was hanging out with, that's not me. Which that group of friends was more of like, I want to go out. Like, you do what you like to go party, like to go to the clubs, or like just certain ways how like they'll treat, you know, just little things they'll say about people. It was just not me. And that I think that's where like a lot of things has changed about me is that I sat alone and I just started like eliminating certain things that I just don't know about, like certain things that are not me or that doesn't represent me in a way.
Yeah.
And fitness kind of helped along too because it eliminate that insecurity of like, I'm no longer a kid with acne or like, oh my gosh, like if I don't have a six pack, compared to these guys, I have the capabilities to build that up
Right.
on my own and like take the time and like figure out like, okay, what do I need to do to like eliminate, certain things from my life. And everything like that just kind of correlates down to fitness in a way. Cause if you eliminate your friends, it's going to help your mental health, or like it'll help you figure out who you are. If you eliminate certain foods that you love eating, like dairy or like drinking a bunch of sugary drinks, maybe you'll end up looking healthy. Not that like, oh, a six pack or not, but you just feel super good in the inside,
That's true.
So I know it was so much to take in, but I
Yeah.
feel like I feel pretty confident I answer your question on this one.
Yeah, no, I feel like that really helped. And it made sense in a way. Like it wasn't a straight answer, but it made sense.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah. And then I want to go back to the thing that you said about just like being alone, because I found that when I started doing all of this, being alone was kind of scary. Like that's why everyone's always like plugged into something,
Right,
whether it's music or phone or TV or their computer. So did you ever feel that, like the kind of dread or fear of like diving into just like this world of silence and your own thoughts?
right. So the crazy thing is that um I've I've felt well, I know I have a sense of alone, like this like feeling a sense of being alone, but I've also created like this very like solitude where like I love being by myself. And that started when throughout high school as well, because I was constantly walking home from school,
Yeah.
and it was like a 45-minute walk
Oh my
every like
God.
yeah, like every day. So every single day it was kind of like, and no music or anything like that. It was just me walking home. It was just kind of like, because you're walking home, you put earbuds on, you have no idea what people's gonna do.
Yeah.
So I have no music or anything. It was just me walking, talking to myself. And I think over time I just kind of like built the habit of doing that.
Yeah.
So like I'll know when it's time to like, okay, I can listen to music, but I do also know when it's time to like, okay, let's sit alone when I don't have like a clear answer of what I'm looking for. And like, and still instead of like running to other people, I try to like sit alone and like navigate through the problems and see if I can find an answer in my
Yeah.
problems, for my
Yeah.
problems. So so yeah,
Gotcha.
so yeah,
Yeah.
so to me, I guess solitude was normal for me for a little while until I got into a relationship, and then like life kind of revolved around that a little bit.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Well, kudos to you for like walking home alone and like being aware of like, hey, somebody's gonna do something. I'm just like gonna be like with myself and
Oh
try to
yeah.
my thoughts. I didn't do that. I was like running with my headphones at 3 in the morning, pitch black. I never thought about that until later on. Um, but and
Running 3 in the morning.
yeah, I was doing a marathon 2 months ago, and
Oh, that's
yeah,
dope. How was
yeah,
that?
it was good. It was hard. It was hard.
Okay,
It was hard.
gotcha. That's
Um,
awesome.
but I think towards the end, I kind of realized that running with my headphones on was not a good idea at night.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I think as people like start realizing that being with themselves and thinking about their thinking, like critically thinking about their thoughts and solving their problems, and again, like you said, not running towards someone else is can be such a big part of like healing the relationship with themselves and being okay with being alone.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I think as like well, before I dive into this like last question I have for you, I'm curious, how are you trying to help people through fitness now?
Now, now a lot has changed since then. The whole because obviously if I don't think the vision I had a long time ago is really so much has changed throughout since then. So it's like I still have the same vision of helping people, but maybe in different ways now. So like depending if where my fitness page goes from here, then
Yeah.
obviously I will continue to keep giving value to people through calisthenics or any sort of way. Um, and some people sometimes reach out to me too and asking like certain question on calisthenics, and I'm always glad to help for free. I don't ever because there's so many free knowledges that like there's really no point of charging someone that you can like if I learned online,
Yeah.
you can kind of do the same, but I will give you the answers of what I've learned throughout my journey of
Yeah.
learning something. But I think for right now, it's just like I I love videography and I love photography. So I try my best to give value to even people like through ways like that in my city. So, stuff like that. So I guess at this point right now in my life, I kind of let God and see where He's going to take me from here because I'm still trying to figure out, who I really am even now. So much has changed so far. Like I'm 24, so it's like I still trying to navigate through it, through everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think that journey ever ends of like trying to find who you are. I think everything's
yeah,
always changing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, and that's why I went to LA too, because since COVID and everything like that, I feel like there's so much more ways for people to like really know who they are. And I've been stuck in the city for my whole life. So I'm from St. Louis.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm from St. Louis, so it's like there isn't really much out here.
Yeah.
Not to say that there's like not to say there's not opportunities, but it's very little opportunities compared to like Los Angeles or like somewhere else. So and that's why I kind of like decided I'm like, okay, let's book a trip, let's go somewhere and let's really learn who you really are now at this stage of your life in your like early 20s. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so I mean the whole goal is yes, I still want to help people as much as I possibly can. I just don't know where at the
Start.
moment. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
if it's through fitness, awesome. If it's through like videography, awesome. I'm always happy to help people in any sort of way. I just don't know what category just yet.
Okay. Okay. I think you're
Yeah.
gonna figure it out along the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then for anyone who's still like not wondering where to start or how to get to a point where they feel like they're making progress, what would you say to young Tommy, like back in high school when he was starting or during lockdown, if you had a chance to say anything to him?
Young Tommy was very scared at failing.
Okay.
He always wanted to be perfect. So I'll probably if I had to go back, I would probably tell him like failing is okay. You don't have to be perfect for anyone. You're allowed to make mistakes. And so make mistakes, make as much mistakes as you want, learn from them, grow from them, and life will just lead you into the right path.
That's a good answer.
That's yeah, so that's yeah, that's probably the one thing I would probably go back and tell myself.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, thank you for this conversation. And
no,
if anybody wants to like follow your Instagram or page, where can they find you?
Instagram, TikTok. I'm planning on dropping a YouTube soon, but so far it's just TikTok and Instagram.
You should. I think it'd be dope.
Yeah, so I feel like Instagram, no, well, YouTube probably gives me more room to like speak more instead of like doing little cuts on like Instagram and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's the plan for the future.
All right, so I hope that you found that really valuable. It was to me, like I said, one of my favorite interviews so far. And I am going to bring in a lot of other people that I hope you stick around for. And again, if you like this video, then comment, like, and subscribe. And I will see you in my next video.